Hello, this is Dr. Lewerenz at Longevity Health Institute here in Rochester Hills, Michigan. This is our little, let's just call it our Q&A, let me discuss some things with you that you asked for, which is questions and answers. Now, I'm happy to talk about topics and subjects with you and cover things regarding healing and wellness and prevention and regeneration and hormone replacement, gut health, autoimmunity. You can ask me anything. You can message us here on YouTube or on Facebook, or just send us a message, an email in the office, and I'm happy to get to it. It's a little bit busy because in the practice lately, we're waiting on our Bloomfield office to be finished being built on 14 and Telegraph, and our Madison Heights office is currently closed. So we're all crammed in together here in Rochester Hills, Michigan, and doing great, just crammed in tighter than usual. So if it's a little nutty for the next month, if you're an existing patient or a new patient coming in, it might be not a typical experience, but still excellent and above par, or better than par. But I will tell you that the point being is we're just in a little bit of a craziness with all our providers, our practitioners, our staff, and our patients all in one site. But anyway, let me get to some questions and answers. So you guys sent me these. Now, there's certain topics I can't get into, and I'll just leave it said like that. And I'm sure you can extrapolate in your own mind what I can't talk too much about, but I will touch upon things that you sent me messages and maybe I've hit upon in the past, but let me give you my input or my influence in what we do in the practice on it, and hopefully that answers some questions. So a lot of questions about autoimmunity, a lot of questions about autoimmunity and epigenetics, and what does epigenetics mean and influences. A lot of questions about MTHFR and maybe to explain that a little better, because some people are under the impression, or doctors or practitioners that they might have, are being told or saying that that's normal and it's a bunch of BS and don't even worry about MTHFR. Obviously, a lot of COVID questions. I try to touch upon those. I'll tell you some of I'll call it my COVID update. And then somebody did ask something kind of basic about detoxification and with viruses. But let me go back to start some of this, and that is, in general, MTHFR. So what is MTHFR? Or some people call it the mother effer enzyme. I didn't make that up, okay, or mother trucker or whatever. But MTHFR stands for methotetrahydrofolase reductase. Now, this is an enzyme SNP that you can have that can have a problem with you converting folate to methylfolate, because that you have a SNP in the reductase enzyme that doesn't allow that conversion. So if you take folic acid or you eat a lot of folate or folic acid things, you're not getting conversion to the proper product called methylfolate. And so then you're not then allowing a cleaver in detoxification of homocysteine. And what does that mean? What does that really medically, clinically mean for you? Well, if you have an influence with MTHFR, which is very common, this is why it's like, well, if everybody has it, don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Well, hey, most people are overweight. Don't worry about it. Most people eat crap. All right, just eat crap then. Come on, this is a horrible approach to healthcare. So you have to address the problem, and let's talk real. So yes, MTHFR is very common, and sometimes it doesn't express itself that much, so no big deal, okay? But everybody out there should get a homocysteine level checked, okay? Because your homocysteine level is how you reflect if you are getting influenced by MTHFR. So do we check everybody in our practice, thousands of people, for MTHFR? No. Why? There's no point. If you have one SNP or two SNPs, and there's 4 possible SNPs on that genetic mutation, then you don't express it much, okay? So when you're talking about one SNP is over 70% of the population, okay? But if you have 2, okay, or if you have a poor diet, or if you have other detoxification problems, then you might have an expression of more homocysteine. So homocysteine we want low. We want to keep your homocysteine low. That means that you're methylating well. It means your liver is detoxifying well. And there's a lot of neurocognitive benefits, cardiovascular benefits. I also call it some kind of keeps your blood a little slipperier and anti-inflammatory benefits. But you could read a lot about that and hear a lot about homocysteine, keeping it in control, and I like it in single digits. So meaning anytime it goes above 10, I don't like that. 11, 12, 13, we definitely use a supplement. When you're 13, 14, 15, 16, your homocysteine level, then we check typically your MTHFR, okay? But what does it really matter? Well, it really doesn't. It's just that if you had a homocysteine level of 18, 20, 25, etc., okay? It's very likely that you have 3 or 4 SNPs in a big expression of that enzyme mutation, okay? So your homocysteine is going to be very high. Why is it important to me to educate you about this? Well, because if you have a big expression of it, it's not just as simple as taking a supplement. You should have your family tested, your kids tested, etc. Because this genetic mutation can be passed on, and it will be passed on, okay? And then there's a lot of things that are affected by that, okay? So it is real. The data on 4 SNPs is under 10%. 3 SNPs is around in the 20 percentile. Again, 1 SNP is in the 70%. So it's very common, but how you assess how significant is how high the homocysteine. Now, what do? We put you on a product here that has methylfolate in it, has cysteine, okay, which is another donor to convert homocysteine down. Methyl B12 is also a influence on it. And we, in that supplement, also have something in it called N-acetylcysteine. And these are all big influences in liver detoxification. But the key product is methyl B12 and methylfolate to be taking for MTHFR. Now, where does that affect you in your body? Well, it tells us that, hey, long term, you could have earlier, okay, and think of life on a spectrum. Here's birth. We're born usually very healthy and well, okay? We're fortunate and blessed. Here's birth. Here's death, okay? We're going that way. So think of aging as a disease. If you have the expression of MTHFR, if you have a high homocysteine, okay, you will typically get earlier cardiovascular, earlier neurodegenerative, and potentially some clotting effects and blood coagulability effects earlier in life than you would see later, okay? Say here's life, 100 years if you're blessed. If God blessed you and you're 100 years. They might happen in your 60s or 50s or 70s, not when you're 80, 90, or 100, okay? So think of it in that way. You got to keep that homocysteine down. Again, I like it single digits, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's where I like your homocysteine, okay? Next topic is, what are epigenetics? What does that mean? How does that influence autoimmunity and that? So epigenetics are influences of how your genes are bathed, okay? So we have genes in us, obviously. We have more than we can even identify, you know? And your SNPs and all these variation of genetics are being identified by epigenetics specialists and experts, and that is not me. I follow the numbers and the research on what's prominent and medically acceptable. But for instance, I just talked to a patient today about her genetic profile because she had endometriosis, fortunately stage 1A. She's at year 5 doing really, really well. And she did have a CHEK2 gene that we discovered that was not discovered in her original genetic tests 5 years ago, okay? So in 5 years, there's a CHEK2 gene that has been shown a twofold increase in breast, endometrial, and colon cancer. So we use that to help kind of guide us with her and screen her better. Now, again, she's doing very well, but we want to make sure that we're doing enough for her in screening and being proactive, okay? So back to what are epigenetics? Well, epigenetics are how your genes are bathed, what influences them. So the list is endless, but I'm going to give you the big hitters, okay? The like call it the 5 or 6 or 7 bad guys, okay? Hormones hugely influence your genes, good and bad. Okay, when they get dysfunctional, okay, you can get epigenetic influences on those genes, and you can get telomere damage, okay, which is the end caps on your DNA, okay, and that progresses or magnifies aging, okay, so you want to keep your telomeres healthy and robust, okay, but epigenetics, like hormones, okay, can influence them. Stress, huge, influences epigenetics. Diet, gut health, okay? Toxins that you're exposed to and that your body harbors and traps, okay? Sleep has a huge influence on your genes, okay? Back to hormones, adrenal effects, cortisol, okay? Huge influences. But these are some of the big common epigenetic influences, okay? Now, often here we're looking at your hormones, how you detoxify, nutrients, mind-body connection and stressors, sleep, we talk about that, okay? Exposures, environmental exposures, but these are epigenetics, okay? And when then you talk and ask me about autoimmunity, well, autoimmunity can be triggered by some of these imbalances, any of those I mentioned. So we have a 6-point model here that we're always at least touching upon and addressing. Okay, genetics, hormonal balance and appreciation and optimization, gut health, including your nutrients and how you detoxify and how those nutrients are used, but your gut, okay, your diet, your digestive lining, liver and how your body detoxifies. I don't think I said this. Stress, mind-body connection and stress effects, and then pain and structural issues in your body. Chronic pain, structural problems are also epigenetic influences, okay? Now, when you talk about autoimmunity, that's an immune trigger. So something is causing your immune system to be revved up and angry, and very likely there is something in your body that's causing that. And then because of perfect storm, your body overreacts and attacks itself, okay? Now, there's a lot not understood about autoimmunity, and a lot of genetics aren't understood about autoimmunity. But what we do know is a weakened immune system, gut, hormones, diet, huge with autoimmunity, and then potentially some genetic issues, potentially, we don't know much about that yet, but then those are bad combinations, okay? But when you talk about autoimmune conditions, period, any of them, Hashimoto's, rheumatoid arthritis, MS, lupus, Sjögren's, psoriasis, eczema. People don't realize eczema is an autoimmune condition, okay? Urticaria, atopic dermatitis, polymyalgia rheumatica, sarcoidosis, I could go on and on. These are all autoimmune diseases. Probably the most common one we see here is Hashimoto's, okay? But you have to fix, appreciate, and get to the bottom of healing your gut, get the right diet, usually gluten, dairy-free, usually grain-free too, makes a big difference. But fixing it, so diet alone will not do it. You gotta fix your epithelium of your gut lining, okay? And you have to make sure your hormones are balanced, and you have to make sure that you don't have any negative toxic influence that you're exposing yourself to or harboring. So you have to do some testing for heavy metals and toxicities, okay? Now, I also had another question about how do you detoxify and detoxify for viruses? I don't really know what that means as a question, but we're really careful with detoxification. We understand the patient first, okay? Meaning we want to make sure you're well. We make you better first. Energy, sleep, diet, your gut feels better, your mood's better, your sleep's better, etc., okay? And we make sure you're pooping, sounds funny, but eliminating and peeing. because that's how you get rid of stuff, okay? So you can do all the detox you want. If you're not pooping or peeing regularly or efficiently, you're not getting rid of the junk that you're either consuming or exposed to your skin, the air, etc., okay? So the first part of detoxification is pooping and pooping well and regularly, okay? As mammals, we're supposed to eat and poop. Now, granted, because we're conditioned and we bowel hold and that's how our life is, you know, hopefully we at least go once or twice a day. But if you're going every other day or every third day, or some people come in and go, yeah, I'm not too bad, I maybe go every other day or 2 days or 3 days, that's horrible. You need to go, number 2, every day, maybe even twice a day, okay? That's detoxification 101, okay? But it's a long story about influences and what we do with detoxification for the liver and the rest of the body. Somebody did ask about foot baths. I'm not a big believer in those. There's no science and evidence that foot baths are very detoxifying. Yes, can they pull out crap and it looks like the foot bath water is, I don't know, dark, smelly green? Yeah, well, it probably pulls out epidermal, subcutaneous toxins, feet are dirty. I don't want to get into that, sub-Q skin, etc. Okay, point being is that really having a big influence on your system as far as toxins? I do not believe so. If you like doing it and you feel better, by all means, it's not going to hurt you to do it. But I'm just not a big believer in from any significant medical influence of it. What are the best ways to detox? Increasing bowel movement, a lot of water and hydration, get out in nature, in the sun, okay? Sweating. So exercise is great. If you don't sweat, you're not getting enough detoxification. That's a way to detoxify, okay, through your skin, okay? And then you can actually do detoxification protocols by either diet or supplements and diet. But usually when we're doing a detox plan, it's very directed. I don't want to get into that because the point is you've got to have all out of other things in line before we guide you with detox, because otherwise we can make you sicker, okay? I don't know if sicker is a real word, but I used it. So what else can I tell you about? Now, I did have a question about something and I want to touch upon, because I think in a video I said something and it wasn't really clear, but I want to touch upon this. And this kind of goes back to detox and regulating hormones, okay? One of the wonderful things you can do, most beneficial things you can do to help your body control your natural hormones, whether you're a man or a woman, is helping your liver clear bad hormones, particularly your estrogen, actually. But testosterone fractionates into estrogen in men and in women, and you don't want negative estrogens, particularly 16 alpha or 4 or 2 hydroxyestrone. You don't want some of those ratios to be off, okay? They influence bad cells, okay? So how do you help this? Something simple. Now, detoxes, all these other things I mentioned help, okay? Something very simple that you can do at home. Now, we have supplements that contain the stuff I'm going to mention, which help, but also you can do this at home, and this is where there is maybe a little confusion. Your cruciferous vegetables, your cauliflower, your broccoli particularly, but yes, kale is good, spinach is good, all your greens are good, but your cruciferous vegetables particularly are very good at this, and very at the apex, at the paramount, at the point of what's the best is broccoli. So let's just touch upon that. I talked about the best ways to eat and consume broccoli. Well, I want to be really careful and explain this in detail. Sulforaphane is a very, very big, healthy sulfur-containing substance in broccoli, okay? But it does die off slowly once broccoli is cleaved. So once it's cut, okay? And once it's out of the ground. It also can be heat killed. It can be killed also by flash freezing, okay? And actually, it can increase your sulforaphane if you chop it up and leave it out for 4 to 6 hours, okay? And then consume it, okay? But what don't you want to do if you're trying to consume the best broccoli and get the best sulforaphane and the best micronutrients and effects of the cruciferous broccoli? And that is raw, fresh, raw. If you want to chop it up, leave it out for a few hours, the sulforaphane will go up, which is awesome, okay, and eat it raw. You can lightly steam it, and if you want to flavor it with something, go for it, okay? But that also, you'll still have good phytonutrients in it and sulforaphane. Boiling it too much or steaming it too much, and definitely grilling it, cooking it, or flash freezing it, you kill the sulforaphane. You kill a lot of the benefits of the broccoli. So buying organic frozen broccoli and blending it in a smoothie, which I made that mistake in the past, I've done. I'm guilty, okay? Just for ease, right? But you want the stuff fresh. Pull it out of your fridge, crisper or whatever. Chop it up if you want. Let it sit out if you have time. If you don't, still just raw, throw it in your blender, you know, whatever, dip it in whatever, eat it raw, lightly steam it, garlic, salt, whatever you want to put on it. Okay, garlic is awesome on it, by the way. A little bit of salt, pink salt, you know, Mediterranean salt, something like that. It's excellent. But you want to maintain and make sure you're keeping that sulforaphane and the phytonutrients good. Okay, now we have supplements here. It's called Estro Balance, and it has with sulforaphane in it, but it has diindolylmethane and wasabi and some other things in it that are also very good to clear bad hormones, bad estrogens particularly, okay? They also can help with weight loss. But that's essentially the take-home message with that, and I hope I cleared that up. But hey, consume your greens, eat plant-based, eat whole foods, okay? Get away from processed, get away from a lot of animal products, okay? But that's a wonderful, wonderful thing, is to consume a lot of broccoli. I focus personally on that. Nobody's perfect. If you see me out, you know, I do indulge a little bit, but you'll never see me eat meat. You'll never see me eat dairy, consume dairy. You'll never see me have red meat, steak, anything like that, okay? And unless I'm at a ball game, which is rare, you're not gonna have me consume any pork other than a hot dog, like I said there, and that's mostly just because you gotta live a little. I don't even miss it when I have it. But the point is, eat whole food, plant-based, okay? And a lot of veggies, a lot of greens, and put broccoli up at the top. Broccoli, kale, your collards, your spinach, and your cauliflower. But broccoli is at the top of Mount Everest. So hopefully that's good. A little Q&A. Send me some more questions, okay? I'll hit topics. I didn't get into COVID. I've gone more than 20 minutes. I want to stop the video just so I don't drag on here. But hopefully this is influences you, gives you some insight and education. Share this, please. Share. Like me, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it. We have practitioners here and myself that are available. See new people all the time. We see people out of state. We do COVID consults, and we have a lot of things we can offer you that are, I call, a bigger toolbox plus conventional medicine. Conventional medicine plus integrative, holistic medicine. We merge the two. The best of medicine, the best of functional, personalized medicine, Longevity Health Institute. Be well.